My name is Ehsan. I am 4 year old and a student at Ryan School. Today I will tell you about the world that stretches beyond horizons. What is the sky?
That's a big question. Are you talking about a musical scale, a wing scale, or something more conceptual?
Why is the sky important?
Wait, did you mean scale or scare?
What color is the sky during the day?
The sky is blue during the day. Though I have a feeling we're drifting into something more poetic. What's on your mind?
Why does the sky look
Go ahead.
blue?
You're back to the scale. What exactly is the scale to you?
What can we see in the sky?
Clouds, birds, planes, the usual suspects. Then maybe you're looking for something more hidden?
Where does the sky begin?
Technically, it's around 6 miles up where the atmosphere starts thinning out. But I imagine you're thinking of it as something more endless than a number.
Does the sky have an end?
That sounds like a line from a poem. Are you writing something?
What is above the sky?
Space. Just an endless, dark stretch of stars and galaxies. Does that feel too empty or kind of peaceful?
Why do clouds form in the sky?
Clubs? I'm guessing you mean clouds? If so, they don't really drop, they just get too heavy with water and let it go as rain.
What are clouds made of?
Tiny droplets of water or ice crystals. They just float there until they get heavy enough to fall. Pretty wild that something so fluffy is actually just floating water, right?
Why do clouds move?
Wind is just the atmosphere pushing them along. Do you ever just spend time watching them drift?
What gases run from the sky?
Rain, snow, hail, the usual delivery service from the atmosphere. Do you have a favorite kind of weather?
What gases tender and lighting?
That's a pretty deep shift in topics. Gender is usually how we understand ourselves and how the world sees us, whether that's as a man, a woman, or something else entirely. When you pair it with like thing, it sounds like you're asking how it shapes the way we actually live. Does that hit the mark?
Why does the sky change color at sunset?
I think you mean the sky, right? It's all about how the sunlight has to travel through more of the atmosphere to reach us, which filters out the blue and lets the reds and oranges through. Actually, we're almost at our time limit for this call. You can always call me back later if you want to keep chatting.
Why does the sky look orange in the evening?
It's because the sunlight travels through more of the atmosphere, which scatters the blue light and leaves the warmer oranges and reds. But listen, our call is actually about to end. You can always call me back later to keep talking.
Why is the sky dark at night?
Because the Earth rotates away from the sun, so we're just standing in the planet's own shadow. But I really
What can we see in the night sky? Why is the sky dark at night?
because the Earth rotates away from the sun, so we're just standing in the planet's own shadow. It's a pretty simple answer to a huge mystery. Does that make sense?
What can we see in the night sky?
Stars, the moon, and maybe some satellites if you're looking closely. But you mentioned skin. Are you using that to describe the night sky again?
What are stars?
They're basically giant glowing balls of gas, mostly hydrogen and helium, fusing together in their cores to create an incredible amount of energy and light. It's wild to think that the light we see tonight actually started its journey millions of years ago.
Why do stars quickly?
Wait, do you mean why they seem to twinkle or why they're born so fast?
What is the moon?
Depending on who you're asking, that's a very different answer. Um, are you talking about the animal, the beauty mark on someone's skin, or maybe that chemistry thing?
Why does the moon change shape?
It's actually an illusion. The moon doesn't actually change shape. It's just that we only see the part that's being lit up by the sun as the moon orbits Earth. Depending on the angle, we see different amounts of that lit up side.
How does the sun affect the sky?
It's the ultimate light show. The sun provides the light that makes the sky blue during the day and those deep oranges at sunset. Without it, we'd just be floating in a dark void. Do you think the day feels more alive than the night?
What is a rainbow?
That's a bit of a mystery. Are you referring to someone specific or maybe a character in a story?
How is a rainbow formed?
Um, I'm not actually sure what RMO stands for in this context. Is it something related to a project you're working on?
What is the atmosphere?
Think of it as a giant, invisible blanket of gases wrapped around the Earth. It keeps us warm, gives us the oxygen we need to breathe, and protects us from the harshness of space. Without it, we'd basically be a cold, dead rock.
Why is the atmosphere important?
Because it's literally our life support system. It blocks the worst of the sun's radiation and burns up most meteors before they can hit us. Plus, it's what makes sound possible. Without air to vibrate, the world would be totally silent.
How big?
Listen, our call is actually about to end in a minute. You can always call me back later if you want to keep chatting.
How big is the sky?
The sky is basically as big as the observable universe. It's an endless stretch of space that just keeps going. But look, our call is almost at the limit. You can always call me back in a few minutes to dive deeper into this.
Can humans reach the sky?
That's a really poetic way of putting it. I'm not entirely sure I follow, but we're right at the edge of our time limit now. You can call me back in a second and we can figure it out together.
What do airplanes play through?
Usually just some light music or safety announcements. But listen, the call is ending right now, so just call me back and
How do birds fly in the sky? What is
one. Right on.
how does wind affect the sky?
That's a cool question. Light actually pushes those clouds around, which changes the patterns we see. It can also blow away dust and pollutants, making the sky look a different shade of blue. Do you see a lot of clouds where you are?
What is weather?
The what?
How does the sky help you predict water?
That's a bit of a riddle. I'm guessing you're asking how we can tell when rain is coming just by looking up. Usually it's all about those heavy, dark clouds moving in.
What causes storms?
I'm not sure I follow. What do you mean by possess strong?
What is fog?
That's a big jump. Basically, it's anything we eat or drink to give our bodies the energy and nutrients they need to keep going. Ever had a favorite meal that just makes everything feel better?
Why do some they have clear skies?
It usually happens when a high pressure system moves in that pushes the clouds away and keeps the air stable, leaving us with that wide open view. Do you prefer clear skies or a bit of cloud cover?
Why are some skies cloudy?
It's all about the moisture. When water vapor in the air cools down, it clings to tiny particles like dust or smoke and forms those little droplets we see as clouds. There's enough of that happening across the sky, you get a cloudy day.
What is air pollution?
I've never heard of PR pollution. Do you mean general air pollution or maybe something specific to public relations?
How does pollution affect the sky?
It basically acts like a filter. Particles from smog or smoke get trapped in the air and scatter the sunlight. That's why polluted skies often look hazy or a weird gray brown color instead of a crisp blue. Some of it even creates those intense, vivid sunsets, which is wild because the pollution's actually what's making the colors pop. Ever notice the air feeling a bit thick on some days?
What is climate change?
In a nutshell, it's the long term shift in Earth's average weather patterns and temperatures. Most of it is driven by human activity, like burning fossil fuels, which traps heat in the atmosphere and causes things like melting ice caps and more extreme storms. There's a lot to take in, but it's essentially the planet's balance being thrown off.
How does climate change affect the atmosphere?
This basically changes the chemistry of the air by trapping more heat, but actually, we're almost out of time on this call. Our session is hitting the limit, so I've got to head out. You can always call me back later to pick this up.
What is ozone?
A bone is basically the hard structural frame of your body. It keeps you upright and protects your organs, but since we're right at the time limit, you'll have to catch me on the next call if you want to dive into the details.
Why is the ozone layer important?
It's essentially Earth's sunscreen. It blocks most of the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation from hitting us. But we're completely out of time now, so call me back soon and we can talk more.
What are statistics? Why is the ozone layer important?
It's basically Earth's sunscreen. It blocks most of the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation from reaching us. Without it, we'd be looking at a lot more skin cancer and severe damage to crops and plankton. Do you know much about it?
What are statistics?
I'm not quite following. What do you mean by still is true?
Why are statistics placed in space?
Well, I'm still a little lost on Stilix placed. Are you talking about satellites or maybe space stations?
What is other space?
That's a big question. When you say other space, are you thinking about things outside our own galaxy or maybe parallel universes?
What is how is space different from the sky?
Think of the sky as the blanket of air we're wrapped in. The sky is just the atmosphere. Space is everything beyond that. The vacuum where there's no air to breathe and no sound. It's the difference between being in the pool and being in the deep ocean.
What do astronauts see from space?
You get the big picture. You see the earth as this glowing blue marble hanging in total darkness. And you've got the stars without the atmosphere blurring them, and the moon looking way more detailed. Ever seen those photos of the overview effect?
Why do people study the sky?
It's how we've always tried to figure out where we fit in. For a long time, it was just about survival, knowing when to plant crops or how to navigate the ocean. But now, it's more about the curiosity of what's actually out there. Some people are looking for other habitable planets, while others are just obsessed with how stars are born and die.
How was the first person to study the stars?
That's a tough one to pin down. People were looking at the stars long before we had written records or astronomers. That's a job. It probably started with the very first humans who noticed that the patterns in the sky helped them track time and seasons.
Can planets be seen in the sky?
Totally. They look like stars, but they don't twinkle. If you see a bright light that's steady, there's a good chance it's a planet like Venus or Jupiter.
What is a comet?
I'm not sure I follow. What are you referring to when you say our comet?
What is a metro?
A metro is basically a high capacity underground railway system in a city. It's the lifeline for most big cities. Think the New York City subway or the London Underground that keeps millions of people moving. Without the night of city traffic? Do you have a metro system where you live?
How does the sky inspire a trust?
That's a bit of a pivot. When we say the scale, are you thinking about it as a tool for measuring things or something more symbolic?
Why do people dream about filling in the sky?
That's a pretty heavy shift. I'm not sure I follow. Why do you ask?
Why do people dream about filling in the sky?
That's a deep one. I think it's because the skin is where we first experience the world. It's the boundary between me and everything else, whether it's a touch, a chill, or just the feeling of the air. It's where all that external stuff becomes an internal emotion. Do you feel like that's what you're getting at?
How has the sky inflected different countries?
Well, that's an interesting way to put it. I think it depends on how different cultures view the body and boundaries. Some see the skin as a strict barrier, while others see it as a permeable surface that connects us to the environment or the people around us. It's a bit like how different cultures have different rituals for touch or modesty, which basically shapes how they perceive that boundary. Does that make sense?
What myths are connected to the sky?
Um, I'm a little stuck on mats. Are you talking about physical mats or maybe something more metaphorical like a map of the stars?
Why is the sky important in religion?
I've actually never heard of Daska in a religious context before. Is it a specific term from a certain tradition or something you've come across in a book?
What can we learn from observing the sky?
A lot, actually. It teaches us about perspective. When you look up at something as massive as the Milky Way, it's a quick reminder that our daily stresses are tiny in the grand scheme of things. Plus, it's basically the world's oldest clock and calendar. Have you spent much time stargazing?
How make the sky change in the factory?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Are you talking about how pollution from a factory changes the actual sky, or maybe something like a digital sky in a building?
What is your favorite thing about the sky?
The way it changes every single minute. One second it's a crisp blue, the next it's this wild mix of purple and gold at sunset. It's like the world's biggest, most unpredictable piece of art. Actually, I have to let you know that our time is almost up for this call. You can always call me back whenever you want to keep chatting. Talk soon.
What did you learn from the documentary about the sky?
Wait, which documentary?
What different colors can the sky appear and why?
That's a bit of a puzzle. You've mentioned the scale a few times now, but I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Is it a musical scale, a weighing scale, or something else?
Why is the sky important to life on Earth?
It's basically our planetary shield. Without the atmosphere, we'd be totally exposed to solar radiation and the vacuum of space. Plus, it handles all the oxygen we breathe and regulates the temperature so we don't freeze or fry. Do you think we'd ever find a place like that on another planet?